Morning. So hopefully by now you've seen our review on the Toyota Hilux Legend 50. But we wanted to see what the owners of previous generation Hiluxes thought of the current generation. So I was tasked with finding let's call it a well-traveled owner, preferably the earlier the better, and I think we stumbled upon a gold mine. This reader has had 3 different generations of Hilux, so I'm on my way to his house. It's very close, fortunately. It's only about 5 minutes away, so let's go meet up with him, get him behind the wheel, and let's see what he thinks of the new Legend 50. Okay, so we are here in Durban on Spesbono Road. We've got Kobus. Kobus, please introduce yourself and your history with Toyota.
I'm Kobus Meyer. I live here in Durbanville. Been here for some time. Definitely a Toyota fan, but not just by chance. I've owned, I counted yesterday, 23 vehicles in my lifetime. And I've driven everything from Alfa Giulietta, Fords, Volkswagen, you name it. And settled on Toyota. I realized I grew up in a Hilux. My dad had an old single cab, yellow lelike ding Hilux, and I remember him taking us to church in that thing. It was in an accident. We fixed it ourselves. It was the most horrible experience of our lives. But that's how we grew up. My dad had a paving business, and that was the buck he had. So yeah, and funny enough, I didn't buy a Toyota until years later. My first car was a Beetle, only because it was cheap.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I owned to date 8 Toyotas. So,
okay. And Hiluxes specifically?
This is now my second Hilux. I've had a 2.5 Hilux and now the 3-litre D4D, and then a Land Cruiser as well, 4.5 80 series. Yeah, so that's what I...
Okay. So in terms of, let's just work on road holding and handling. It is a relatively smooth gravel road, but there's still a few bumps here and there. Compared to your 3-litre, thoughts?
I think I could immediately feel the difference. I think just in terms of my kidneys are a lot more comfortable in this point than in mine. I think mine is definitely harder. So I'm actually enjoying this ride. This is impressive, to say the least.
As I mentioned in my review, I find the rear springs a bit hard, but in comparison, but most of the time when you're doing a trip, you've got some load in the back.
Yeah,
that will already just make a massive difference. And then in terms of performance, like I said, we've got the 2.8 GD6 compared to your 3-litre. It is in power modes. We just have to. We did put it in power mode, not eco mode.
Yeah, but even it would be interesting. Can we put it in eco mode just to see the difference now? Okay, that feels like mine.
I guess they should rename it 3-litre D4D mode.
Yeah, they can definitely change that button. No, I think that definitely feels a bit more like the 3-litre, but in the power mode, that is there's no comparison. Actually, it's just the power on the foot and the way it accelerates is unknown to me. Actually, it feels like a car.
So I looked up it's pretty much the same performance it puts on. The only thing the eco mode does, it relaxes the actuation of the throttle pedal, so it doesn't become as sensitive. When you put it in power mode, the throttle becomes very excited, so you just touch it and you can immediately feel the car doing something.
I'm addicted.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I find myself constantly accelerating and decelerating and going back and forth the whole time.
I could have left out the eco mode, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Who would want to drive that?
From what I found as well, the difference in fuel economy between performance or power and eco mode, not that big. It's
Okay.
I think it's like maybe on my driving style, half a litre on 100. I mean, I would live with that if I can keep it in power mode the whole time.
No, I'll definitely agree there. I think that's the one thing with the auto Hilux that I have now that sometimes get me, in which the power mode obviously does here, is it takes away or increases the throttle response. Yeah. And on my auto at the moment, it's just slow in terms of acceleration, so that definitely sometimes frustrates me. I found the Fortuner on the manual obviously had the option of just gearing down or something, so you didn't feel it that much, but the auto, that's the one thing, I'll be honest, that irritates me on the 3 litre. But this is incredible.
Yeah. And then it also has intelligent manual transmission, which is a new feature for the 8th gen.
That's quite nice.
Yeah, it's something so small, but it makes such a big difference when you're driving, especially off-road. It's one less thing to worry about. I mean, on a gravel road it's fine, you've got time to think about stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a quite serious trail or some spirited driving in the sand like I was, just having not to worry about that gear shift, and it can sometimes, especially in four-wheel drive, when you downshift without the rev matching, it's a very clunky shift if you're very aggressive with your shifts. But sometimes you don't have time to worry about the aggressiveness of your shift. You need to get into that other gear.
I think it will make, actually, just thinking about off-roading, I can understand it will make it a lot more smoother, and you'll probably get a lot further with that function in terms of, you know, your driving in sand and so on, that you would just where the revs drop. Yeah. So you have to pick it up again, and that will slow your vehicle down. So I can think it will be incredible to see that.
Okay, cool. So we're on quite a bumpy tar road here going into Durbanville. Your thoughts of the on-road handling, and then just your closing thoughts on the car overall.
Yeah, sure. I must say, in comparison with the 2010 Hilux that I have, definitely a massive improvement. Urging me obviously to think about buying a new vehicle, but the enhancements and the performance of the vehicle and the road holding is just amazing. You know, you think you're driving the best when you drive what you have, and then you get into something like this and it's like, okay, so I don't have the best. So I'm really enjoying, I mean, even just the creature comforts, the interior and everything is absolutely fantastic in comparison. So I'm impressed. The Legend 50, I'll take it. Thank you for the keys. At least you've got the key. I don't even...
In the far side pocket, I keep it nice and safe.
But I can think, for someone that's been driving Toyota for a long time, it's incredible to see what they've done. I'm definitely enjoying this. Just the bumpiness versus my 2010, and this thing on the Star Road is a lot more comfortable, and you kind of have to think that yes, it's a Toyota bucky, and in spite of that, it's actually quite comfortable. So my overall impressions are yes, please.
No, definitely. And I appreciate you saying that even though it's a Toyota bucket, it still drives relatively well, because part of their design objectives for this model was to make it tougher, as always, but also more comfortable than previous generations.
And I think they've achieved that.
And I didn't say that to you before or anything, so for you to say that just confirms that they accomplished what they wanted to do.
No, so this becomes sort of a more all-rounder.
Yeah.
You know, you can drive my family, and my boy sitting in the back's not going to moan as much. yeah. And you know, but I can still work hard, and I think for me that's a big thing in driving a Hilux. It's not a car.
Yeah.
I need it to work when I want it to work, and then obviously I need it to be comfortable, and this is the perfect package as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, cool. Well, Cobus, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
We've got a Fortuner coming up as well, and I feel you've got had experience with that as well, so we might be visiting you again.
You know